We've reached the final stretch of the series. The Penguin just dropped its 7th episode, laying the groundwork for everything that's about to go down in the conclusion of Oz Cobb's rise to crime power in Gotham City. This episode dives into the Penguin's past, taking inspiration straight from the comics. Batman's not tuning into what's happening in the series, but I know you're sticking around in this video to catch every juicy detail from this intense episode. Stick around! Welcome to Comic Chronicles. The Penguin is nearing its finish, and as usual, it delivers episode after episode that's just as good as the last one. I'm giving this episode a solid 9.5 out of 10. It completely shattered my expectations and pleasantly surprised me, so go ahead and hit that penguin-like button on the video, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Your support really helps us grow on this platform. Feel free to drop your rating for this episode in the comments. Now, without further ado, let's get to the video. The episode kicks off with a flashback of young Oswald living with his mom and his two brothers, Benet and Jackson. Francis works in accounting for the mobster Rex Calabrese, who, by the way, is the mob boss that Penguin has mentioned throughout several episodes. Francis asks his eldest son to deliver the accounting folder to Rex with his brothers, and it's here we see just how much Oz looked up to this mobster from a young age. You can even notice how Oswald mimicked Rex Calabrese's mannerisms, with his cigar and the way he carried himself. He really was a significant influence in Penguin's life. After handing over the folder to the mobster, a storm hits where they are, and the three brothers decide to play in the old abandoned subway station. Right away, what stands out in this flashback of our protagonist's past is that he's had the injury on his foot since he was a kid, and how hard it is for him to cope with it. Another noticeable thing is how attached he is to his mom. In a scene where she shows more affection to her eldest son, it's clear how much it impacts Oswald, making him crave all that attention for himself, even if it means doing terrible things to get it. While playing in the abandoned station, they play tag with flashlights. Due to his limitations, Oz gets frustrated as he searches for his brothers. The other two brothers are in a part of the station where Oz has to go down a set of stairs. He attempts it but gets annoyed again when he slips, leaves, and locks his two brothers inside, trapping them on purpose. Oswald heads home in the rain, and when he arrives, he lies to his mom, telling her his brothers went to the movies while he wanted to stay home with her. The problem is, the storm has flooded the place where his brothers are still trapped, and all that's heard are their screams for help, which quickly fades to silence. The series even zooms in on Oz's face as he looks at a glass jar filling with water outside the window, followed by a smile he gives to his mom. At first, I thought Oz locked the kids away but didn't intend for them to die, but the series quickly reveals the opposite. He was already the villain we know even as a child, and these could have been his first murders. In the previous episode, Oswald mentioned that Gotham took his two brothers, but now we know what really happened. He took their lives to have all his mom's attention for himself. That moment was incredibly intense. Another thing you can notice is that Oz's explosive and aggressive temperament has always been there, as he was super upset with his brothers and left them to die. This reflects what he did with Alberto Falcone in the first episode. Alberto made a joke at his expense, and out of nowhere, Penguin shot him. We already knew Oz was a monster, but this revelation about him being responsible for his brothers' deaths is truly shocking. It adds even more layers to Penguin's villainy and his psychopathic way of acting. The production had a lot of guts to show what Penguin did as a kid. Back in the present day, Oswald feels proud that Crown Point has power again, but his happiness quickly evaporates when he finds Vic's apartment broken into, and worse, his mom has disappeared, with Vic lying on the floor, injured. At that moment, many probably thought Vic was dead, but the kid had just passed out. Vic says Sofia took his mom. The two notice movement outside. Penguin helps Victor escape and tells him to go get reinforcements from the gangs he made deals with. Then, Sal Maroni shows up at the apartment with his henchmen. Right away, Oz takes several golf club hits from Sal looking for his revenge, but the revenge won't stop there. Maroni tells Penguin that now he's got his family and warns him that they're headed to his drug operation. Meanwhile, Sofia is in her mansion talking to Francis Cobb. Sofia wants to know more about Penguin's mom, about the person he loves most. What seemed like a scene where Sofia would intimidate Francis turned into the opposite. Francis intimidates Sofia, saying crime always remains the same, no matter if Sofia changes her name or hairstyle. Those who lose will always continue to lose. Despite Francis's stance, Sofia soon rattles her when she mentions her other two kids, and that's when Sofia realizes Francis is ill. This dialogue is fantastic. The performances from both actresses are superb, it's truly a spectacle. Next, Dr. Julian Rush talks with Sofia about her cousin, the one she spared. Julian warns her that she might end up talking to the police and ratting on Sofia, which is the only loose end in the crime of taking her family's lives. Sofia says she'll keep her quiet but asks Julian for help dealing with Penguin's mom. Meanwhile, Penguin arrives at the hideout in the subway tunnels, where the drug operation is based. Maroni enters saying that this operation now belongs to the Maronis and the Gigante. He then threatens to take Oz to Sofia so they can take him out, but again, Oz tries to sweet-talk Sal until a distraction is created, allowing Oz and his goons to fight back against Maroni. A battle ensues, and Penguin tries to escape, but Sal catches up to him, and they start to fight. This may be the weakest moment of the episode. During their brawl, Sal has a heart attack and collapses on the ground. Oz isn't sure how to react and ends up shooting Maroni even after he's dead, just to show everyone there that it was him who took Sal's life. The show highlighted from the first episode that Penguin is someone who does whatever it takes to survive, and when he was pinned down by Sal Maroni and began spilling his guts about his wife and child that he killed, it was a desperate move that somehow worked out for the villain. Sal's death was anticlimactic, not only for us but for Penguin too, who wanted to finish off his enemy with his own hands in an epic showdown, but it didn't go down the way he wanted, which justifies his somewhat funny reaction of talking to the already deceased Maroni and shooting him multiple times. In my opinion, this was the weakest moment of the episode, but I understand what they were trying to achieve. Maroni's death isn't just a loss for Sofia because she lost her biggest ally, it also removes any possibility of Sal Maroni being involved in creating Two-Face in the future. We don't know if there will be a Two-Face in Matt Reeves' universe, but this eliminates the potential for Two-Face origin story, just like in the comics, where his face was burned by acid that Maroni threw. After this, Sofia visits her cousin in the orphanage. While she visits, Sofia recalls her time at Arkham, which deeply affects her. The girl asks Sofia if it was she who killed her parents, and Sofia embraces her, saying their family was very bad and that they are much better without them. This visit makes Sofia very uncomfortable because seeing the injured girl reminds her of everything she went through, and in a way, she starts to feel like her father, who sent her to Arkham. Sofia is interrupted by a call from Penguin, who wants to propose a deal. All his operations and partnerships with the mob would be hers in exchange for her mom. Then there's a shift with Sofia. She tells Julian Rush that despite everything she's doing, she's still following what her father wanted for her before sending her to Arkham, which was to seize power. She struggles to breathe and says what she really wants is to be free and also wants Penguin to suffer for everything he did to her. The episode soon shows that Dr. Rush had his sessions with Francis and probably discovered something. Next, at Penguin's hideout, a van arrives. Penguin thinks Sofia is inside the van with his mom, but Gigante calls Oz, and it's quickly revealed that it was all a setup. In the trunk, Penguin thought he had someone's body, maybe his mom's, but he soon discovers the van is actually filled with explosives. The villain bolts out of there, not caring about his henchmen, and ironically survives the explosion by locking himself in the same place where he locked his brothers up as a kid. The entire following sequence of Penguin emerging from the rubble and walking toward the light is gripping. Him in the dust, a bit disoriented, it's really a great scene. The explosion caused major damage, creating a crater in the middle of Crown Point. This is the moment when those wondering where Batman is, and I include myself among them, find their argument even more valid. For anyone trying to ignore this detail, it's going to get hard to keep that up. The episode then cuts to another flashback of Oz as a kid, at a moment where his mom was already showing signs of depression and being affected by everything. She comes out of the room all dressed up and asks Oz to get ready because they're going to a fancy club called Monroe's. We see that Frances is acting pretty strange. She makes Oz promise to take care of her and give her everything she deserves, and the kid promises his mom. All these flashbacks from Oz's past explain this somewhat toxic relationship with his mom. From the beginning when he wanted all her attention on him, to the end where he promises to give her the best of everything. Back in the present, Oz gets up and walks through the ruined streets, running into the private detective Sofia hired back in the second episode. He tells him that Sofia wants to see Oswald and knocks Penguin out, ending the episode here. The quality of the episodes keeps rising. This seventh episode was one of the great episodes of this series and totally exceeded expectations. While most were debating whether Francis or even Victor would lose their lives to Sofia using the crowbar, the episode took a different path, showing Oz's past with his mom and breaking all expectations in a way that works so well. Unlike the movie Joker, Folie à Deux, which also went against expectations but fell flat, as seen from audience and critic reactions. This episode leaves open what happened to Victor, focusing instead on Oz, Sofia, and Francis, adding layers to these great characters and saving Victor's conclusion for the final episode. Sofia's development here was fantastic too. The twist of her deciding to rid herself of everything while still wanting revenge on Oz at all costs was brilliant. It added even more depth to her character, and now it's more than clear that the climax of the series will be the final showdown between Sofia Gigante and Oswald Cobb. Speaking of comics, there's a comic the series has been using as a basis for episode construction, which is Penguin, Pain and Prejudice. This comic also showcases moments involving Oz and his mother, and even touches on the bullying he faced from his brothers. To learn more about Penguin and the entire Batman mythology in the comics, or even the digital version of the comic I just mentioned that served as a foundation for the show, check out our affiliate links in the description of this video and grab some Batman, DC, Marvel comics, or anything else you want to buy. This way, you support our work without spending anything extra, and we really appreciate all the support you give us. I'm genuinely excited for the season finale, but now I want to hear your thoughts. Did you enjoy this episode of The Penguin? Was this the best episode in your opinion? Do you also think Batman is missing from all of this? Are you pumped for the big finale? Drop your comments, hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe to the channel. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss any DC news and stay updated on all the secrets behind the episodes of The Penguin. To catch up on everything that happened in each episode, click on our The Penguin playlist and follow every secret and Easter egg behind each episode. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.